Hey Raiders fans, welcome back. Today we're diving into some of the hottest topics surrounding our Las Vegas Raiders as we approach the final stretch of the season. The big question on everyone's mind is all about the number 1 overall pick in the draft and what could happen if the Raiders continue to play the way they have been. Fans across Raider Nation are torn between excitement for potential wins and the anxiety that comes with losing the prime draft position. It's the classic dilemma for a team in transition, trying to balance the pride of competing with the strategic need for top-tier draft opportunities. So let's break it down and explore the scenario that might be keeping every fan up at night. First, let's take a look at the upcoming matchups that are creating so much buzz. The Raiders face both the New York Giants and the Kansas City Chiefs in the next few weeks, and both games could go either way. For many in the fan base, this is a real nail-biter because winning against these opponents could ironically work against the team's long-term plans. Right now, the Raiders sit at 2 wins and 13 losses, and if they manage to secure victories against these squads, they could lose out on the coveted number 1 pick. It's a tricky situation because, on the field, every player wants to win, every coach wants to see a victory, but strategically, this could complicate the rebuilding process. The fans are split. Some hope for wins, others fear them, and the tension is real. When considering the potential outcomes, the Chiefs' matchup seems to spark the most concern. This is partly due to the reputation and strength of the Kansas City squad, even though they have had their struggles recently without Patrick Mahomes leading the offense. Despite these challenges, the Chiefs remain a disciplined and dangerous team, and the Raiders will have to bring their best game to compete. At the same time, the Giants are no easy opponent either, and the Raiders have to navigate both games carefully. Winning both could mean ending the season with a 7 overall draft position instead of the number 1 pick, which would have huge implications for the team's future. Now let's talk about the draft order and why strength of schedule matters so much in this conversation. The New York Giants currently hold the number 1 spot with a 2-13 record. Strength of schedule is a critical factor because it often becomes the tiebreaker when multiple teams share similar records. For instance, if the Raiders beat the Giants and the Chiefs, and if other struggling teams like the Browns, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, and Commanders continue to falter, the Raiders could slide down to the 7th pick. That's a major drop and could drastically affect the strategy for acquiring a franchise quarterback, which is exactly what every Raider fan is hoping to solve in the offseason. Let's dig a little deeper into the remaining schedules for these teams. The Giants, after facing the Raiders, will take on the Dallas Cowboys, a game that could go either way, but likely favors Dallas given their consistency. The Raiders, meanwhile, face the Chiefs following the Giants game, which will test the team's resilience and preparation under pressure. The Browns, Jets, Cardinals, Titans, and Commanders all have challenging schedules ahead as well, with multiple road games and strong opponents that could result in more losses. If all of these teams lose, it opens the pathway for the Raiders to fall to the 7th pick despite victories. This scenario highlights the unpredictable nature of football, where wins and losses carry consequences far beyond the scoreboard. The number 7 pick presents a unique challenge. Without the top selection, the Raiders might not have a clear path to drafting a franchise quarterback, which has been a pressing need for the roster. Options would include drafting a quarterback in later rounds, exploring trade possibilities, signing a free agent, or sticking with GENO SMITH. Each option comes with its own set of risks and benefits. Trading for a quarterback like Jalen Milroe has become a favorite discussion point among fans and analysts because it represents a calculated move that could maximize draft capital while addressing the team's most critical position. Milroe's fit with the offensive line, the running game, and potential tight end targets like Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers makes him a viable option, particularly if the Raiders aim to build a sustainable offensive strategy. What makes this situation even more complex is the potential domino effect across the league. The Giants might draft a quarterback if they maintain the number 1 pick, while the Browns, Jets, Titans, Commanders, and Cardinals have varying needs and strategies that could influence player availability. If the Raiders end up at 7, they could face stiff competition in acquiring a quarterback through draft or trade, making the decision about wins in these last games even more critical. For fans, this is a mix of high drama and strategic chess, where each game carries weight not only for pride, but also for the future blueprint of the team. As we consider the implications, it becomes clear why winning these games could be both a blessing and a curse. The Raiders would demonstrate resilience and competitiveness by defeating high-caliber teams, but the consequence could be a draft position that makes it harder to secure a quarterback capable of leading the team for the next decade. That's why discussions about potential trades, draft targets, and roster adjustments are heating up in Raider Nation. Max Crosby's situation becomes a part of the conversation too, as the team may face tough decisions on contracts and trades depending on the draft position and strategic direction. The fan base, coaching staff, and front office all need to weigh these factors carefully. The dynamics of the draft, remaining games, and potential team moves make this an incredibly fascinating time for the Raiders. It's not just about wins and losses. It's about long-term planning, evaluating talent, and understanding how each result shifts the balance of opportunity. As the Raiders prepare for the Giants and Chiefs, the stakes couldn't be higher. Fans are analyzing every matchup, considering every variable, and speculating on what the ideal outcome should be. And yet, the reality of football is that even the best-laid plans can be upended by a single play, a standout performance, or an unexpected turn of events. Ultimately, this situation embodies the tension and excitement of being a Raiders fan. Each game, each drive, and each decision has layers of consequence. The team must navigate the delicate balance between competing at the highest level and securing future assets that could define the franchise for years to come. The strategy extends beyond individual games, reaching into draft choices, potential trades, and how the team structures its roster around the quarterback position. This makes the final weeks of the season some of the most compelling in recent Raider history, with fans eagerly watching every move, analyzing every statistic, and debating the best path forward. The discussion around the quarterback position remains at the forefront. If the Raiders were to fall to the 7th overall pick, the options for selecting a franchise quarterback become narrower. The ideal scenario would involve a strategic trade or a calculated draft move to acquire a quarterback who fits the team's system, maximizes the offensive line, and allows the running game to thrive. Jalen Milroe continues to be a popular name in these conversations because of his potential to develop within a system that can protect him and gradually expand his skill set. The Raiders would need to consider how his playing style complements the current roster and whether investing in him could yield long-term stability at the quarterback position. Beyond the quarterback, the draft position affects the broader strategy for the team. Picking 7th overall means that the Raiders may have to focus on building depth and filling multiple positions rather than immediately acquiring a top-tier star. The balance between drafting skill positions, bolstering the offensive and defensive lines, and addressing gaps across the roster becomes even more crucial. This is where draft capital management comes into play, as every selection has ripple effects on the team's flexibility in free agency and trade opportunities. The front office must carefully weigh the short-term desire for wins against the long-term blueprint for sustainable success. Meanwhile, the remaining schedule presents a mix of challenges and opportunities. Beating the Giants could showcase the team's growth and highlight the players' resilience, but it also introduces the possibility of losing the number 1 pick. The matchup against the Chiefs, while daunting, could be a chance to test the team against a disciplined and competitive opponent. Winning both games would demonstrate that the Raiders are capable of competing at a high level, yet it complicates the draft strategy by moving them down the order. Every game has implications that extend beyond the scoreboard, influencing trade talks, roster decisions, and the evaluation of talent across the league. Max Crosby's situation has also emerged as a talking point among fans. If the Raiders finish with the 7th pick, the team may face difficult choices regarding key players, including the possibility of trading established talent to accelerate the rebuild. Crosby represents one of the most impactful defensive players on the roster, and any discussions about trades would have significant implications for the team's competitive edge and locker room dynamics. The balance between retaining top talent and securing strategic draft assets is a delicate one, and it will require careful deliberation from the front office to avoid long-term setbacks. Looking at the other teams in the league, the dynamics further complicate the Raiders' position. The Giants may pursue a quarterback if they maintain the #1 pick, while teams like the Jets, Cardinals, Browns, Titans, and Commanders each have their own strategic needs and draft priorities. The Raiders must anticipate these moves and understand how competing interests could limit options in acquiring key players. It's a complex web of planning, strategy, and timing that requires the front office to be proactive, analytical, and sometimes aggressive in their approach. The 7th pick, while not ideal, still provides a valuable opportunity to make impactful selections if managed wisely. The potential scenarios for the Raiders highlight the importance of decision-making at every level of the organization. From coaching strategies to draft planning, every choice carries weight. If the team wins the next 2 games, it not only affects the draft order, but also sets the stage for evaluating coaching effectiveness, player development, and long-term planning. For fans, this creates a narrative full of suspense and speculation, as every outcome becomes part of a larger story about how the Raiders will evolve in the coming years. The quarterback debate is particularly intense because it shapes the team's offensive philosophy. Whether the Raiders pursue a trade, draft a quarterback later, or invest in free agency, the choice will define how the team builds around the position. Jalen Milroe represents one possibility, a young quarterback who could grow into a long-term starter if given the right environment and support. Alternatively, exploring trade options or free agents may provide immediate solutions, but could require giving up valuable draft capital or committing to a player who may not fully fit the system. Each path has inherent risks, and the decisions made now will reverberate throughout the season and into future campaigns. The upcoming games against the Giants and Chiefs are a microcosm of these larger strategic considerations. On one hand, victories could boost morale, demonstrate resilience, and showcase the talent on the roster. On the other hand, they could inadvertently alter the draft positioning, forcing the organization to adjust its plans for acquiring critical assets. The interplay between winning today and planning for tomorrow creates a tension that is both exciting and nerve-wracking for the fan base. Every play, every drive, and every decision has implications beyond the final score, making these games among the most consequential in recent Raider history. The strength of schedule remains a key metric in this conversation. The Raiders' current position, along with the performance of other struggling teams, directly impacts the draft order and the strategic options available. Understanding how each team's record and remaining opponents influence the landscape is critical for anticipating where the Raiders may pick and which players may still be available. This analytical approach adds another layer of complexity to following the season, as fans must consider not just who wins and loses, but how those outcomes affect the broader competitive environment and the team's long-term vision. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Rumors are swirling in the NFL world after shocking reports emerge from Las Vegas. Raiders head coach Pete Carroll, known for his uncompromising approach, has reportedly sidelined quarterback GENO Smith following what insiders are calling a locker room crisis. Sources close to the team claim that tensions boiled over after an incident that left Carroll questioning Smith's commitment to team discipline. While the details remain murky, multiple anonymous accounts suggest that the altercation involved heated exchanges with teammates and staff, signaling a breaking point in what has been described as a fragile locker room environment. Carroll, whose tenure with the Raiders has been marked by a no-nonsense approach and a demand for accountability, is said to be unwilling to tolerate any behavior that undermines team cohesion. He's not someone who lets things slide, one source told us. If you step out of line, he makes a decision fast. For Smith, this development could be a major setback, as the quarterback has been under scrutiny in recent weeks for inconsistent performance and reports of locker room friction. Analysts are already speculating about the ripple effects this move could have on the Raiders' season, as the quarterback position is critical to any team's success, and the timing of this decision could force a reshuffling of the roster. Fans are divided. Some argue that Carroll's tough stance may ultimately instill a stronger sense of discipline and unity within the team, while others worry it could destabilize the squad just when cohesion is most needed. Meanwhile, rival teams are reportedly watching closely, sensing an opportunity to exploit any cracks that may appear in the Raiders' armor. Smith himself has yet to comment publicly, leaving room for speculation about whether this decision is final or a warning designed to recalibrate his approach. Insiders suggest that this is not the first time Carroll has had to make a hard-line decision regarding player conduct, but the combination of Smith's prominence and the public nature of the reported incident has made this situation especially high-profile. Whether this will lead to a longer-term shift in the Raiders' strategy or merely serve as a temporary measure remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. Under Pete Carroll, discipline is non-negotiable, and no player, no matter their status, is immune to his scrutiny. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.